to go.
Cool!
Hey everyone, it's 𝗧𝗪𝗋, and it is time for another movie review. And not just any movie review, but one for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It's been about, 3 years since my original review on the first movie, and man, time flies. Time flies when you're having fun and living life and just trying to survive out here. And it just, makes me realize how fragile life is and how crazy things can get in such a short amount of time. But y'all don't want to hear me for all that philosophical stuff. You're here to hear me talk about some Mario. And just like with the last review, this is mainly just going to be a video that's just me yapping. This is going to be me fully yapping about the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It's going to be mostly audio. There's going to be no images on screen. So if you want, you can just listen to this like you're listening to a music track or a podcast or something like that. And it also will have timestamps, so you can feel free to skip around the video however you want. If you want to just get to my summary and final verdict, you can do that. But I would recommend watching the whole video if you want my full context on what my thoughts are around this movie. So now that I've made that clear, let's get into it. So to start things off, let me recap my thoughts on the first Mario movie. And basically, I liked the first Mario movie. I understand that it doesn't have the deepest story, but I never really expected that from a Mario movie, and especially a first Mario movie because, Mario is just such a basic series. It's fundamental within the principles of Mario itself that Mario is all about fun and doing all sorts of cool stuff with crazy characters and power-ups and references and stuff like that. That's why I didn't mind that the first movie was a little more simple on its story. I wasn't really going crazy like a lot of the critics and even some fellow Nintendo YouTubers were going with that first movie. And that was basically what my first review was about, just defending the first movie and explaining why I thought it was great, despite, me also acknowledging that it wasn't exactly peak cinema like some people were saying. Now, with this sequel, because of how much freaking money that first movie made, it was only inevitable that they were going to do a sequel. And they first announced it as a weird thing, kind of a film in the world of Mario or whatever, or something like that. But we all knew it was going to be Mario Movie 2. It's a freaking $1 billion making movie. It's going to get a sequel. So yeah, we waited for more news on the movie. And at a certain point, a lot of people were expecting that this was likely going to be a Super Mario World movie. Because if you remember, one of the post-credits of the first movie was a tease of Yoshi hatching out of an egg in the sewers of Brooklyn. So a lot of people pretty much assumed that it was going to be a movie focused around Yoshi, and it was going to primarily take elements from the Super Mario World game, maybe Yoshi's Island, and whatever else. Stuff in that kind of ball camp. Although, a lot of people did think that Galaxy could be up next as well, because there were a lot of hints that a Galaxy movie could be coming, such as with 𝗏𝗲 being in that first movie, such as with Peach acknowledging that there are a lot of galaxies out there in the mushroom world and stuff like that. Galaxy was definitely possible for the second movie, but me personally, I think it would have made a lot of sense for Super Mario World to be that second movie because, let's explore more of this world that the Mushroom Planet is in now that we don't have to do all the Brooklyn origin stuff. I liked the Brooklyn origin stuff, but this could have been a good movie to really focus down on some of the places we saw in that first movie and just explore more of the basic Mario world. But then we got the announcement that this was indeed going to be a Mario Galaxy movie. And as I talked about in a video that was around before this, I'll put a card for it so you can check that out if you want. But basically I did a whole video talking about why I thought it was kind of weird that they were doing Mario Galaxy for this second movie. Now in some ways it made a bit of sense because Mario Galaxy is one of the deeper mainline Mario games. It's one of the few Mario games where it has some actual interesting story elements that can make for a very engaging story and make for potentially a more interesting movie. So I can kind of understand it in that sense, but I also was a little worried about them doing Galaxy for the second movie because, it's only the second movie and we're already jumping to a movie where basically the plot is going to the center of the freaking universe and fighting Bowser there. Like, that's a movie with like huge stakes. Like, it introduces multiple galaxies, not just the one planet that we were on in the first movie. We're going to multiple galaxies, like, and that just opens up so much potential to do so much crazy stuff compared to that first movie. Like, we're jumping and going into the crazier side of Mario pretty fast for the second movie. And that was my big concern that I expressed in my previous video where I was talking about, can Galaxy work as the second movie? But because I enjoyed that first movie so much, I was willing to be open-minded. You know, I was willing to give this movie a chance as it was, and I followed the pre-period. And the pre-period was kind of all over the place. Now, at first, they were being very vague, and personally, I appreciated how vague they were kind of being on some of the plot details, because if you remember from my first review, I was talking about how I felt like they were showing a bit too much, especially as we got to the later half of the pre-period of that first movie. It felt like they were just showing way too much, and at that point, you could pretty much guess the entire plot of that first movie. However, with this, they were definitely being a lot more vague, holding their cards a lot closer to their chest. And some people got mad at that because obviously they wanted to see more footage of the movie. But me personally, I didn't mind that they were hiding some elements of the movie. Although this did lead to some worries from people because, for example, a lot of people were noticing that we weren't seeing many galaxy locations. And I figured, well, obviously they're trying to save stuff. They're trying to save the more crazy space elements for the actual movie so that we can experience that. But as we were getting closer and closer to the movie, we were still seeing a lot of locations that were all over the place. So that was definitely concerning. It was also kind of weird how, while we did see Rosalina, which it made sense that Rosalina was going to be in this movie because it's a dang Super Mario Galaxy movie, it didn't seem like she was doing much in the scenes that we did see her in. Like, the main scene that we were seeing was the scene where she fights Megaleg, but we weren't seeing much else, which was definitely very suspicious. But once we hit that last stretch of the pre-release period of this movie, they were basically like just blowing the lid on stuff. Like, they were showing so much stuff as we were getting closer and closer, and that's where I felt like the pre-period was getting annoying, because it was like, why are you now showing stuff? Like, you were doing fine before of hiding bits of this movie, but now they're just showing a whole bunch of stuff. Like, they were showing all sorts of power-up reveals. They were showing like more of the locations and just making more of the identity of this movie be like confusing as to what the heck is the plot even about. And then they revealed a specific character that is so mind-blowing, like that's so baffling to be in this movie, that it annoys me to no end that they spoiled this character. Because if I had seen this character blind, I would have like just been so much more emotionally like just blown out of my seat upon seeing this character. But because they released it literally like a week before the movie was about to drop, this wasn't a big surprise anymore, and it just left me more confused more than anything. Like, we'll talk about it when we get to it, but you can probably guess what character I'm talking about. So yeah, this pre-release period and the lead up to this movie was definitely all over the place, but eventually we got to the Mario Galaxy movie and it was time for us to see it. Now, my original plan was to hopefully go see it with my brothers, just like with that first movie. I really wanted to see it with my brothers, but that didn't really end up working out as planned. So I actually had to see the movie with a friend named James. He hooked me up and we watched the movie together, and that's how I saw this movie. So shout out to James. I'll put his channel icon or whatever on the screen so that you can check it out. And please do check out his channel and his other social media, because he's a really cool guy. So yeah, shout out to James. But now that I've set up everything that we need to with this movie, we're now going to get into the story breakdown, where I basically talk about everything with this movie's story. And then we'll have all sorts of other categories that break down my thoughts in a little more detail, and then we will get to that summary and final verdict. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so just like with that first movie, we start off with the basic opening logos, and we get another one with the minions. We get another minions in a Mario movie, technically. And this intro is just them goofing off with like a Donkey Kong hammer, which is kind of random because like I understood the first one because that one had like them in carts, and carts were like a big part of one scene in that movie, but like, why the Donkey Kong hammer for this one? Wouldn't it make more sense to do something Galaxy related, like them playing with a Wiimote or jumping in a launch star or whatever? But whatever. I don't care about the minions. I'm here for the Mario stuff. Then we get the basic 8-bit Mario and Luigi Nintendo logo. Like, I was hoping they would maybe change it and do something a little more detailed, but nah, they still keep that basic logo, and it's like, whatever, man. So we go into this beautiful, like, space intro. Like, it has this cool, like, mystical sounding music, and it is gorgeous. Like, the intro to this movie is so good. And it is, of course, a transition to the Comet Observatory, and I loved this. Like, just that opening was so strong. But then we see basically Rosalina appears all gracefully, and it's her calling the Lumas because it's time for her to like read them like a bedtime story. And it basically shows off right out the gate that Rosalina is a very motherly person. It's her dynamic with the Lumas, which is important to show off. Like, her dynamic with the Lumas is such a core part of the Mario Galaxy games, and it's very nice that they captured that with her because that's such a big part of her character. So right out the gate, we're starting off pretty strong and doing well. We get to the whole thing where she is going to read them the story of Princess Peach, which is definitely strange. Like, why does she have documentation on Peach specifically? We don't know, but they want to hear the story about the Mario Bros again. But before she can get into it, all of a sudden she hears something outside and she's wondering, like, what the heck is that? And that gets into the whole Megaleg thing. So she goes outside and she sees Megaleg, demanding her to come with him, and she's like, and she starts fighting off and showing off her powers in the way that you would expect. So this whole sequence obviously is all good stuff that we expected when we were seeing it for the first time in the trailer, and it goes pretty much exactly how it did in the trailer, so it's nothing too surprising. Very similar to the whole opening with Bowser and the penguins and stuff like that. So we then get the reveal that, of course, that this is Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr. is here, and he reveals that he wants Rosalina specifically because he wants her powers for something. I don't remember if we get the elaboration of what he specifically wants to do with her yet here, but we know that he wants her, and we're figuring, okay, well, it's Rosalina versus Bowser Jr. Surely Rosalina is gonna win and send him crying, and maybe he'll have to come back with something stronger later, which is what the common theory was. But no, once he pulls out his paintbrush, he starts summoning like ink creatures that get the upper hand on Rosalina, and he actually successfully captures her. And right out the gate, we have gotten to basically the most controversial part of this movie, probably. Like, this is probably the part of this movie that is responsible for a lot of why the reviews and just the reception from a lot of Mario fans is so, like, angry, is the fact that we were all going into this movie expecting Rosalina would have a decent role because Mario Galaxy is her game. It's basically her debut. It's like where she really gets to shine as a character, but they've basically given her the Luigi treatment for this movie. Like, we do see a few scenes cutting back to her where, she's worried about her Lumas, and she does try to protect them throughout the whole Megaleg battle and battle with Bowser Jr. So we're still seeing those motherly traits in her care for the Lumas, but we don't really get a cut to why she likes the Lumas, how she met the Lumas and stuff like that. We don't really get much of her unique backstory. And this is what pissed so many people off with this movie. Like, if you are a Rosalina fan, you don't get much to work with Rosalina in this movie. Like, she's here and she's not portrayed in the worst way per se, but they basically turn her into a damsel in distress. And that's a big reason why so many people are pissed off at this movie. And here's my thoughts on it. Now, I can potentially understand why they did this. Now, before you blow up on me, listen to me. Most likely the reason why they did this is they wanted to write her out the story because Rosalina is so dang strong. Like, in the Mario games, it's never really clear how strong Rosalina is, but we know that she has all sorts of crazy cosmic magic and can do all sorts of crazy stuff. And because of that, like, a lot of people treat her as a goddess. Now, I think the whole thing to where, like, she's a goddess is a common misconception. I do not think Rosalina is a goddess. Like, people point to the whole universe reset thing, but that was more so something that was because of 𝗶𝗰s. Like, I think a lot of her power comes from the 𝗰as. So, like, she relies a lot on the 𝗰as for her cosmic power stuff. However, we do know that she does have her own magic, like that whole wand thing. Obviously, that gives her a lot of power and stuff like that. So she's very powerful. So if she was like alongside the Mario crew, then nothing would really be a challenge for them. Theoretically, there should be no struggle at all. So maybe they wanted to make her a damsel because they basically wanted to write her out the story. But that just feels very lazy to me, because there are ways that they could have included Rosalina in the main plot without basically straight up making her a damsel just like Luigi. Like, for example, in the original Mario Galaxy game, she's more so like a guide character. Like, yeah, she can help Mario by doing all sorts of stuff for him to help him reach all sorts of places throughout space, but she's mainly a guide because she can't really help Mario fight, because she has to like pilot the observatory, she has to take care of the 𝗰as, like, and plus, she's also limited in what she can do because her observatory is lacking the grand stars, all that stuff. But because we don't really get any of those details from the Mario Galaxy games, they go in a bit of different directions when it comes to some of that stuff. They can't really do that with Rosalina, so they just resorted to making her a damsel, which is just very lazy, a very lazy way to handle Rosalina. So I can understand why, if you're a Rosalina fan, you're very upset with this movie, because it didn't treat her in the best way. It's not absolutely horrible. Like, she's not completely out of character here, I would say, but they definitely could have done a better job at handling Rosalina. And that's the reason why I wanted to just talk about that, because that's just such a huge part of why people are angry with this movie. Like, you know how passionate Rosalina fans are. As someone who was there for the infamous Daisy versus Rosalina wars back in the early 2010s, you know how insane people go over Rosalina, and The Sims too. I forgot to mention them too, but yeah, people go so crazy about Rosalina. I feel like that's where a huge chunk of the backlash of this movie comes from. But alright, enough about Rosalina. We'll come back to Space Mama later. So anyway, we of course cut back over to the Mario Bros. What the heck are the Mario Bros up to? Well, they have been called to 𝗃𝗃 Town. Yes, the 𝗂𝘂cie location that's like Mexican inspired with the skeleton people. They've been called over there, and they're riding on cart bikes, and they've going over there because they're apparently experiencing some kind of problem with like their pipes and stuff like that. And a lot of people were like getting on the fact that 𝗃𝗃 Town is here, because like, why do we have an 𝗂𝘂cie location here? Like, why are we focusing so much on a 𝗂𝘂cie location when this is a Galaxy movie? And I thought some people were overreacting to this, because like, it's just a small appearance of 𝗃𝗃 Town. 𝗃𝗃 Town is not like the most craziest Mario location with a lot of story potential, but it is kind of weird that they put such an emphasis on 𝗃𝗃 Town in like the promotional material and stuff like that, because like, again, yeah, it's an 𝗂𝘂cie location. It feels very out of place to focus so much on for a Galaxy movie, but I wasn't really offended by it. Especially considering the fact that in the actual Mario games, sometimes it feels like they really like do the 𝗂𝘂cie locations very dirty. That especially is the reason why I'm just glad to see that they remember 𝗂𝘂cie at all. So yeah, I'm not too offended by 𝗃𝗃 Town making an appearance in this movie. But alright, so Mario and Luigi are directed to this weird cave inside a pyramid for what potentially is causing the plumbing problem for the 𝗃𝗃ians. Mario and Luigi gear up with the fire power-up, so we finally see Fire Mario and Fire Luigi on the big screen. Like, it's still crazy that they were not in that first movie, because like, they're literally some of their most iconic power-up forms. So it's so good that we're finally getting to see them on the big screen, bro. It was so cool. But yeah, so they explore around for a bit to try and figure out what the deal is, and they find this one pipe that's all blocked up and stuff like that. And when they manage to get it open, something rushes out of it, and they're like, what the heck is that? And we see the homie Yoshi. Yoshi is here. And Mario and Luigi are, Yoshi is like immediately friendly to Mario and Luigi, and he already makes like a decent bond with them. And they're like, oh, little guy, like, where the heck did you come from? Like, what's your story? And they then go into this montage scene that's basically showing that Yoshi did in fact end up in Brooklyn. He didn't end up in the Mushroom World, he ended up in Brooklyn, and he had a whole little side quest where he was roaming around Brooklyn, causing chaos, like eating dogs and just walking around to Biggie music. Like, Biggie music was playing in the background of this scene. It is the most jarring thing ever. Like, when that Biggie music came on, I legit was losing it. Like, bro. But we'll talk more about music later. But yeah. Oh, also, fun fact. So Donkey Kong and Little Mac have a cameo. The Little Mac cameo is basically just Little Mac and Doc Lewis doing their training montage thing where they're like running. Like, Doc Lewis is on a bike and Little Mac is following after him. Like, you could briefly see them in that sense. So that's super cool. Super cool to see Little Mac does in fact live in the same New York as Mario and Luigi, and that he has his own little story going on. So that's super cool. I don't know if that's setting up for a potential Punch-Out project or not, like I've talked about, but it would be really cool if it does end up leading to that. But anyway, then we see Donkey Kong. So Donkey Kong is in the background and he's like causing a ruckus where like helicopters are like on him, and it's like, what the heck is Donkey Kong doing? Like, why is he terrorizing New York? Like, didn't he save it in the last movie? Why is he being a menace like he is in the arcade games? It's kind of random. Like, Donkey Kong's appearance in Brooklyn just feels like kind of an appearance for the sake of making an appearance. Like, it does not make a bit of sense. Maybe they'll explain that in like the Donkey Kong spinoff. Like, maybe there's some good reason why he was acting a fool in New York, but that just was kind of a very random appearance. Like, I figured Donkey Kong might make an appearance and be acknowledged and not completely like forgotten, because we didn't see Seth Rogen or the other people who voiced the Kongs in the last movie return for this one, so we were worried that Donkey Kong wouldn't be here. But no, he's here, but he just makes the most random appearance. Very random. But yeah, Yoshi ended up knocking over a big dinosaur statue in a museum, got chased out of Brooklyn by the police, and ended up in that pipe that led him to the Mushroom World. So that's Yoshi's story. He kind of had a weird random side quest in Brooklyn that was just like, okay, well, that just happened, so whatever. So he goes home with Mario and Luigi. They decide, all right, well, let's take Yoshi home with us. So he basically becomes the third Mario brother. Basically, like, they immediately accept Yoshi so fast. Like, they don't really build much on their dynamic. Their dynamic is kind of just set. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and say right now that I do like Yoshi's dynamic with Mario and Luigi in this movie, but I just feel like there's really no type of building up to it. Like, he kind of just shows up, explains like how he hatched and was chilling in Brooklyn, and then he's just kind of already like on really good terms with Mario and Luigi. There's no like build up to it. He's not too much of a troublemaker, which I'm kind of glad they didn't larp too much on Yoshi being like this babyish type character or this annoying type character. I respect that definitely, but it does feel a bit weird how fast and in sync he is with the Mario brothers. But yeah, so now they've arrived back to the Mushroom Kingdom, and they're getting ready to take Yoshi to the Mushroom Kingdom for this big celebration that's happening. So you would think that this big celebration that's happening is the Star Festival, right? Because this is the Mario Galaxy movie. That's the thing that we all figure because of the star-shaped boats and stuff like that, right? But no, the celebration is just simply a birthday party for Peach. No Star Festival. Huh. That's weird. Like, where's the Star Festival? That's like such a huge part to the beginning of Mario Galaxy, but no, we're just having a generic birthday party for Princess Peach, and it's like, oh, that's cool, I guess, whatever. So yeah, so Mario and Luigi are getting up for this party, and Mario went and got a gift for her, which is her iconic parasol, which I never thought about the fact that she didn't have her parasol in that first movie. I never really thought about the fact that she didn't have it all throughout that first movie, so I guess it's cool that they remembered it for this movie, and they use it a lot throughout this movie. Like, it basically becomes Peach's primary weapon, and then they use it again for a specific later scene. So I actually kind of like how they included the parasol in this story. Very cool stuff there, but yeah. So Mario manages to eventually find Peach. Oh, one more thing before I get to the whole Mario and Peach scene. They do reunite with Toad, so Toad gets to make his reappearance, and he has this thing to where he's kind of jealous of Yoshi. Now, thankfully, they don't focus too much on this. The whole idea of Toad having a jealousy subplot with Yoshi kind of sounds like something that would be annoying and kind of dumb. Like, Toad hating on Yoshi doesn't seem like something that they need to focus on a whole lot, but I can kind of understand it. The idea that Toad's like, why are you guys just suddenly best friends with a freaking dinosaur? Like, what happened to me, bro? I do like that they have that kind of moment, but I'm glad they didn't like focus on it too much. So yeah, getting back to what's going on with Mario and Peach. So Mario manages to have this moment with Peach, and you already know Mario's trying to make his move. He's trying to be smooth with it. And he's like, oh, well, you're missing your party. You should go down there to your party. And she's like, nah, I don't really like parties, which is understandable. You know, she's probably a princess and going to all sorts of meetings and stuff all the time. So it can be understandable why she doesn't like it. But she also explains that it's technically not her birthday because she doesn't know when it is because of the fact that she's adopted and all that stuff. So I figured that this was going to be foreshadowing with her having a connection with Rosalina and all the stuff going on in space. I figured that this was going to be something that was going to happen. And if you watched my video where I was talking about Galaxy being the second movie, I was definitely very mixed on this. I'll get into it a bit more later. But yeah, so I was definitely worried when she was starting to foreshadow to that stuff. Because I was like, oh lord, what are they setting up here? But we will get the answers in due time. All of a sudden, something shines in the sky and we're seeing star bits raining down, so that's nice. We're seeing star bits come down and we're seeing stars in the sky, so that's super cool. But the fact that this isn't the Star Festival kind of takes away from that. It's just something that kind of just happens now. Like, it's just like, oh, okay, that's cool, I guess. But the fact that this is the Star Festival just takes so much of the magic out of the moment, man. Like, this is gonna seem like of such a petty complaint, but it's gonna tie into a bigger complaint later, trust me. So yeah, after that, something crashes down in the Mushroom Kingdom, and everyone's like, what the heck was that? So everyone gathers it together to go see what the heck was it that crashed in the Mushroom Kingdom, and it was a Luma, because when Bowser Jr. had attacked the observatory, one Luma that was with Rosalina managed to get away and ended up crash landing in the Mushroom Kingdom. And this Luma basically is the one that asked the Mario crew for help in getting Rosalina back. But the Luma specifically asked the help of Peach. Like, this Luma was specifically tasked with, you know, helping Peach and Toad go help Rosalina. Not, you know, just anybody, but Peach and Toad specifically, which is like, okay, that's neat and all, I guess. But because of this, Peach and Toad basically have to go out first and go on a launch star and just head to space immediately, while she decides, okay, you know what? I'm going to entrust the kingdom to Mario and Luigi. She has a letter for them that says, Dear Mario, so it's nice we get a reference to that. But yeah, she basically leaves Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi in charge of the Mushroom Kingdom, which leads into this montage of them doing all sorts of side quests, like helping Toads from giant fish, running through cloud worlds, and basically doing more shenanigans on the Mushroom Kingdom world. Now, how do I feel about this? And I'm very mixed on this, because the montage does give us a bit more to work with in terms of seeing more of the Mushroom Kingdom world, but that's basically all it is. Like, they basically stuff potentially seeing more of the Mushroom Kingdom world in this very quick montage, while Peach and Toad just go ahead to space without them. That's kind of weird. Like, shouldn't Mario just go with them as a group? Like, instead of just them going ahead while Mario and Co are watching the kingdom? Now, in some ways, I can understand this, because someone has to watch over the kingdom while they're gone. And plus, they specifically need Mario, Luigi back in the Mushroom Kingdom because they need to keep an eye on Bowser. Yeah, Bowser is still small, and he's a prisoner in that cage. Well, not a cage. He's now in a weird castle playset, and it's definitely like a weird thing. Like, why is Bowser, why did they give him a whole playset to stay in? They should just keep him in a cage because of how freaking dangerous he is. But no, he now has a little mini castle, which is just so goofy, but it does lead to a few funny moments. A few moments that don't exactly land comedically, but some moments that I do think are kind of funny, so whatever. It's kind of a weird thing. But eventually, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi, you know, they manage to get things quiet and they figure that things are all good and stuff, right? Wrong, because Bowser Jr. pulls up to get Bowser out of imprisonment. He basically lifts the entire castle. He pulls the same stunt that he did in the Mario Galaxy games, the same stunt Bowser did where he lifts the entire castle, but now it's Bowser Jr. trying to get his dad back. And it's like, he couldn't have just like gone inside to like get him back. Like, he needed to lift the entire castle with a UFO, which that's another thing. Like, why does Bowser Jr. just have this like big UFO? Like, why does he have so much freaking tech? Like, Bowser Jr. has a ridiculous amount of crazy tech in this movie. Like, they really give Bowser Jr. some of the craziest tech. And there is absolutely no context for it. It is like, what? Like, where did you get this? Where did you get this UFO? Where did you get all this tech like that super powerful paintbrush that managed to allow you to beat freaking Rosalina? Where are you getting this stuff, bro? Like, there is no explanation for how Bowser Jr. has so much powerful technology and crazy stuff. Now, you could just chalk it up to, obviously, he's Bowser's son, so he probably has resources from Bowser that he's using to get all this stuff. But they just don't attempt to give any sort of explanation for where Bowser Jr. gets all this crazy stuff. And like the kid he is, he's just doing all sorts of random BS. He's just lifting the castle and just attacking it instead of just barging in like you would expect. But whatever. Bowser Jr. barges in and it leads into that fight scene where he turns into Wonder Bowser Jr., which is crazy. Now, this is another thing that I'm mixed on, because on one hand, seeing something from Mario Wonder already is really cool, and it is really cool to see Bowser Jr.'s Wonder form. Like, it gave him a huge aura boost for his big cinematic debut. But it's kind of a bit of a waste of potential, because now it's going to take away like the possibility of seeing Wonder Flowers be a big thing in Mario movies. Like, when Wonder Flowers come along, well, we're not going to see Wonder Jr. as a transformation because of the Wonder Flower. It's just something that's tied to his dumb paintbrush now. So that's a bit of a waste of potential. But it kind of makes sense when you think, like, are they really going to touch Wonder Flowers? Because Wonder Flowers obviously have the whole trippy effect thing, and like it could be like associated with like drugs or whatever. Like, are they really going to do a Mario Wonder movie and just like a movie focused on a Wonder Flower? So in that sense, I can kind of understand why they decided to write Wonder Jr. in that way, but whatever. Wonder Jr. is insanely strong in this fight setting. He is going crazy. Like, he is like just whooping up on Mario. My boy Luigi gets a good hit in with that knee. Like, he straight up knees Bowser Jr. in the face, and I'm glad they didn't hold back on them whooping these Koopa kids. Like, they just let Luigi go crazy on Bowser Jr., so that's cool. But yeah, eventually, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi, they managed to fight back Bowser Jr. Kamek tries to come in with like Mega Leg and the UFO to try to help, but they managed to knock out the UFO. So now that the UFO is out of the picture, they cause the spaceship to drop the castle, and because of the fact that they were in space, it basically caused the castle to crash down in a random galaxy. So Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi crash down in a random galaxy, and Bowser, he crashes down too. And the only reason he manages to survive, like, the castle gets absolutely decimated due to this crash. You would think Bowser would be super dead, but the only reason he survives because he was in his shell. Now, for the average person, they would probably be like, that's some BS. Bowser should be dead. But nah, Bowser being in his shell, I feel like that's enough of an explanation, because if you know anything about Bowser's shell, that thing is ridiculously strong. So it makes sense that he managed to survive thanks to that. But yeah, thanks to Bowser managing to survive that craziness, they're now stuck in the middle of a random galaxy. They have no clue where the heck they are. Bowser tries to make a run for it, obviously. Like, he sees this as his chance to break free and not be a prisoner anymore, but they manage to catch him, and they're like, okay, you're coming with us, Bowser. So Bowser is just casually with them now. But Bowser starts being very annoying. Like, he starts trying to annoy them to try and get them to unshrink him and to, like, hit him so that he can grow back to his normal size. And you could maybe argue that this is a bit of a plot hole, because, like, didn't Bowser just survive this big castle crash? That wasn't enough to unshrink him, but, like, he still needs someone to hit him. Like, he really could have done something earlier to unshrink himself sooner. Like, that's something that's a big plot hole. Definitely, they could have written something around that to, like, keep him in a small size, but whatever, man. It's whatever, Mario logic. So, you figure that they wouldn't be stupid enough to kid him and get him back to normal size, right? But no, Mario gets so annoyed that he does indeed unshrink him, but Bowser doesn't try to kill him. He actually genuinely tries to stay along with the Mario crew, and he's like, you know what? I'll stay along with you guys. I'll play nice. And it's definitely weird, because, like, he's back to normal size. So shouldn't he immediately be trying to kill them? Like, why is he already, like, trying to stay a little good? It's definitely a little weird. Like, it seems like they're trying to set up a Bowser redemption arc already, which is definitely very weird, because in case you forget, Bowser was very evil in that first Mario movie. He was evil as heck. And that made sense for the first movie, because it ties into Bowser's earlier appearances where he's a lot more undeniably evil. But if we're going to go the route of, where Bowser is teaming up with Mario and Luigi, you'd think that would have a little more build-up. But no, Bowser is just kind of already like on a bit of a nicer side. And it's definitely a little weird, but whatever. So they figure out what galaxy they're in when they manage to get to this palace or whatever, castle, I forget what it is. But we figured out that they're in the Honey Hive Galaxy. So, hey, we're finally at a galaxy place, a recognizable galaxy place. We're in the Honey Hive Galaxy. Although we're not here for long, and the reason why is because they managed to negotiate a way out pretty fast. Because what happens is the Honey Queen is ticked at them for destroying her flower fields because that castle that crashed down, yeah, it kind of destroyed some of their flowers. And she's ticked about that, and she's thinking about taking all of them prisoner, but no. Bowser decides that he's going to be like, oh, you know what? How about you just take me prisoner since I'm so big and strong? Like, I'm a strong guy. I can have the strength of multiple prisoners. So just take me and let Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi get out of here. And she's like, you know what? Deal. I will take Bowser and you guys can get out of here. So then they called out that like one boss, that Mandabug thing, but like it's like a boss in the Galaxy games, but apparently it's like under command of the bees in the movie universe. So that's a weird thing, but yeah. They take the weird wasp-like bug creature. I forget the name escapes me. I really should have put it in my notes. But whatever, they take that weird bug creature and they fly out of there. So the brothers are now out of there. So now Bowser is working in the fields with the bees and stuff like that. And that's kind of just it. Like, I feel like this was a missed opportunity to like have Bowser like maybe get the bee power up and like be a bee or something while he's working in the Honey Hive Galaxy. But no, he's just kind of like generically working with these bees. And we get a reference to Peaches when he says like, oh, I was in love with someone once. And that's kind of it. It's just like a weird scene where nothing really interesting really happens. But all of a sudden, Bowser gets picked up from a UFO. And this is, of course, his son. So we finally get a reunition of Bowser and Bowser Jr. So the big question that everyone had on their mind with Bowser Jr. is, where the heck was he during the first movie? And like, what is his connection with Bowser? So the explanation that we get is that Bowser kind of had a decent relationship with his son when he was like super young. Like, we even get to see freaking baby Bowser Jr. and oh my god, he looks so scuffed, bro. I'm sorry, Bowser Jr. just looks so scuffed as a baby, but whatever. We see Bowser Jr. as a baby and we learn that, he used to tell Bowser Jr. stories about how they were going to take over the universe and built like this crazy weapon that was going to allow them to take over the universe and stuff like that. Like, gaslighting his son, as you would expect, because that's kind of what he does in the Mario games. Like, a big reason why Bowser Jr. is so loyal to Bowser is he's so young and impressionable, and Bowser uses that to his advantage to like really set his son on the same path that he's on, and they capture that pretty well, I think. I think the dynamic between Bowser and Bowser Jr. is done very well in that sense. However, when it gets into what the big plan with them is in this movie, it's definitely going to be a bit of a weird thing, because the whole thing about what their big plan is that Bowser Jr. wants to build something that will allow them to take over the universe and basically blow up planets across the galaxy, which is a little different from Bowser's goal in the original Galaxy game, which is to just kind of like take over the universe, like basically break it down with the galaxy generator and then rebuild the universe in his image. It's kind of weird that they go for a more generic, oh, we're going to blow up places around the universe, because that's kind of dumb. Like, wouldn't it make more sense to take over the universe than to blow up the universe? But whatever, that's a nitpicky thing. It's Bowser and Bowser Jr., so it makes sense that their goal isn't going to be the most clear-cut thing. But now we do get into the explanation on what the heck is the deal with Bowser Jr. Where the heck was he? They basically just explained that he was in boarding school. That's it. They give a throwaway line where Bowser says, didn't I send you to boarding school? And he's like, yeah, but like, I got expelled. And that's very believable because it's Bowser Jr. He was probably a menace in that school. Lord knows what he was doing in that school. He was probably committing straight war crimes there. But yeah, he says he got expelled and he decided to come get Bowser so that he could help him build his dream weapon to help them take over the universe. And that's the thing. He shows him Rosalina and the fact that he captured her. And he's like, oh, well, that's cool now, son, I guess. So yeah, he's happy to reunite with Bowser Jr. And they're now set up as the main villains of this movie, which we figured for the second Mario movie, and especially for a Galaxy movie. But it almost feels like this is a lot more of Bowser Jr.'s incentive than it is Bowser's. And it's definitely weird because original Galaxy game, it definitely felt like Bowser was more of the leading, driving, antagonistic force. Like, this was Bowser at his most menacing. He really wanted to marry Peach. He really wanted to take over the universe, but no. Here, Bowser kind of feels like he's very reluctant almost, and that this is more of Bowser Jr.'s incentive to take over the universe than his, which I'm a little mixed on, because I like how it makes Bowser Jr. a little more menacing, but I don't like how it kind of nerfs Bowser and makes him feel a little less threatening. But whatever, man. Again, you could chalk that up to nitpicky stuff. Let's move along. So, we cut back to Peach and Toad. What the heck have they been up to? Well, they arrive in the Gateway Galaxy, which in the Mario Galaxy games, the Gateway Galaxy is a more quieter and a somber place that has a bit more of a quiet atmosphere, but here, it's kind of more like a city-like plaza type of place where it basically acts like a center of the universe where people from different galaxies come to go to other galaxies. Like, there's all sorts of pilots here, and we even get some cameos here of different ships that are taking off, and the cameos are that we see the SS Dolphin. I think it's the SS Dolphin, but basically we see the Pikmin here in a tiny ship, and Toad takes a minute to stare at them, so you know that's like Miyamoto shamelessly trying to promote Pikmin. He's doing his best to get people to care about Pikmin. Like, Miyamoto's love for Pikmin is so hilariously ridiculous, but you know what? He deserves to gas people up about Pikmin because Pikmin deserves it. It's a fun series. But anyway, we also get some cameos that I didn't notice on my first watch, but people point them out. We get cameos for Samus's ship. So Samus maybe exists in the same universe. Maybe Samus is gonna get like a solo project or something. Maybe this is like set up for something going on with Samus. So yeah, Samus makes a little cameo here for her gunship. Like, we don't know if this is just more of a cameo for the sake of a cameo or if this is gonna lead into something. But yeah, that's definitely very interesting. We get the Blue Falcon. I think the Blue Falcon has a cameo here. Someone said they saw the Blue Falcon, so if that's true, Captain Falcon possibly was here for some reason, whatever reason. So yeah, nice setup for them. And then of course we get Rob. Rob is like a receptionist at this place, and he's like, "Hi, I'm the receptionist of this place," which I think makes sense. Rob is a character where he is kind of a general Nintendo character, but he also has some heavy association with the Mario series too, so it makes sense to see him here. And it's cool to see that he can even like talk too. That's kind of funny. I don't think we've ever really seen Rob talk before, but yeah, he has this thing to where he can guide you to different parts of the Gateway Galaxy, and Peach and Toad need him to point somewhere, but because it's Rob, he's being very slow about it. He's like, "It's right over there." He's like slowly turning. Now, some people say that this kind of rips off a joke from Zootopia with like the sloth being slow, but this joke kind of makes sense with Rob too, because he's infamously known for being like a very slow toy. So it makes sense that like the joke they tell with him is like him being really slow to guide them. But whatever, I thought that was a funny scene, and it leads into Peach and Toad exploring more of this place. But all of a sudden, Toad gets his backpack stolen by this freaking monkey. Actually, before that, I almost skipped something. Before that, Peach sees a poster for Rosalina who's like missing and stuff like that, and she's like, "Wait, I've recognized this person. I've seen this person before." And again, it's more setup for the connection between Peach and Rosalina in this movie universe, and it's like something that I was very wary about. So I was like, okay, so Rosalina clearly knew Peach. What are they setting up here? But yeah, back to Toad. He gets his backpack stolen by a random monkey, and he takes it to this weird, like, hidden wall. They jump through the wall, and it leads to this weird, secret, like, bar-like place with, like, enemies all over the place, and they're like, "Ooh, where the heck are we?" So they go further, and they see that they're now in some sort of weird high-tech city. Like, we don't really know if this is, like, based on a specific location. A lot of people say that this is Neo Bowser's city and stuff like that, but it doesn't appear to be run by Bowser, per se. Like, there's someone else, you could argue, that runs this city, but whatever. It's just a random, like, super high-tech city. It's definitely a cool aesthetic, I guess. The futuristic vibe, you could argue it fits with the Galaxy place, but because it's not a very specific Galaxy place, it just kind of feels like just a random location almost. But yeah, so they follow the monkey and try to figure out where the heck is this monkey going, and this monkey ends up going into his casino, which is very surprising. I did not think we were going to see a casino location in a Mario movie, because you think that maybe not be somewhere they go because gambling and they don't want to like show that to the kids, but no, it's definitely a casino. Like, people are straight up gambling. There's no two ways about it. So yeah, So they follow the monkey and they try to figure out where is he going. And we see that the monkey has arrived to 𝗏. 𝗏 from Super Mario Bros. 2 is the one who runs this casino. And as his right-hand man, he has bosses from that game, 𝗏𝗏𝗯, 𝗏𝗏𝗀, 𝗂𝗏𝗃. They're all here. And basically, he runs this place and he's like, welcome to 𝗏's casino. Like, he like has some sort of like stereotypical gangster voice and stuff like that. It's really cool to see 𝗏 actually made it into this freaking movie. Now, he's not the character where I'm mad that they spoiled his appearance. Like, he's one of the characters where they spoiled him a little too early for my liking. Like, if they were going to spoil 𝗏's appearance in this movie, they should have done it in a direct. Like, I would have loved to see the reveal of 𝗏 in a direct, but no, we first learned about 𝗏 on some random poster, and it was so dumb. They should have just revealed it in a direct along with his voice actor at that moment. Like, instead of just randomly revealing him on a poster, bro. Like, if I had seen him in a direct, you could have seen my live reaction to that, and it would have been crazy, because it's so cool to see 𝗏 get love again. But basically, Peach wants to know, like, what's the deal with 𝗏? Like, what is his problem? He's basically, like, roasting them or whatever, and eventually it leads into 𝗏 saying that, like, you princesses tend to go missing a lot, huh? And Peach is like, oh, do you know something about Rosalina missing? And he seems to imply that he does, and I don't know how he knows that information. Like, maybe it's because he's a stereotypical, you know, mobster, so maybe information like that gets around since he's in the crime world and stuff like that. But whatever. It leads into this fight scene where Peach has to fight the SMB2 bosses, and then 𝗏's like, oh, so you beat them, huh? Well, let me summon ninjas. Let me get them on you. And the whole army of ninjas comes in to fight Peach. And what I like about this scene is obviously Peach is like going at it alone a lot, and you could be argued that she was a little maybe overpowered, like, because with so many ninjas jumping her, you'd think that, yeah, doing this solo makes her maybe a little too strong. But she does actually get some help from Toad. Like, yeah, Toad actually clutches up for once in these movies. He gets a penguin power up, and we get to see him throwing hands too. So I thought that was very cool. Like, Toad finally got a moment where he actually was a badass. That was super nice. So it was nice to see that Toad was helping her and he got a moment to shine too. So that was super cool. So they managed to beat all of them. So 𝗏 is like, all right, I'm gonna step up and fight myself. But yeah, Peach just throws one freaking turnip in his mouth and he's done. That's the end of 𝗏. I kind of wish we got an extended fight scene with 𝗏, bro. Like, it's 𝗏, so I wasn't expecting him to be like this big threat, like he's gonna be like a big villain with Bowser and Bowser Jr. But man, I would have liked to see 𝗏 do a little more than just, you know, roar and then just basically get one shot by a dang turnip. But yeah, 𝗏 loses the fight, and they manage to get him to reveal where Rosalina is, which is apparently in the Space Junk Galaxy. So it's like, oh, okay, well, we need to go to the Space Junk Galaxy and rescue Rosalina. So that's where we are now with the story. But now, oh boy, now we get into the big character that I am baffled they spoiled like 1 week before the movie. Like, they should have left us as a surprise for the movie. Like, some people said that the voice actor listing kinda was gonna spoil him, but I do not give a dang. Like, I wanted to see this with my own two eyes, and people speculated that this character might be in the movie because there was one weird frame in a trailer where some people were thinking it was him. But I was like, nah, there's no way this character is in this movie, right? But no, he's here. 𝗏𝗃 𝗏𝗀 from the Starfox series is in this movie. And not just a cameo like Samus or Captain Falcon. Oh no, he is a big part of this plot, because remember how I just said that they need to get the Space Junk Galaxy now, since that's apparently where Rosalina is? Well, they need to find a pilot who can fly them to the Space Junk Galaxy, since they already used the launch star from Illuma, and they don't have any other means of traveling around space, so they need some kind of pilot. And they do ask for a few other pilots, but they're like scared. They're like, Space Junk Galaxy? Nah, bruh, I ain't going over there. And they're like, okay, we need someone brave, someone who's really brave enough to take us there. And all of a sudden, they encounter 𝗏𝗃. 𝗏𝗃 is just here with his R-Wing and everything. And when they ask, you know, what's the deal with 𝗏𝗃? Who are you? It goes into this 2D animated sequence where it is basically shamelessly promoting 𝗏𝗃's backstory. Like, we see Falco, Slippy, Peppy, like we see Team Starfox in all their glory on screen, we see him fighting like Andross's forces, presumably, so like it's like a little hint at his backstory. And then we get this story to where how he ended up here, which is that he's not supposed to be in this universe because he was in the Lilac system, doing his usual thing. But his warp drive in his ship exploded, and it led to him getting transported to the Mario universe. And he blames 𝗧𝗧 for it. And there's like a quick shot of 𝗧𝗧's like 𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏 portrait when he says that. Like, dang it, I knew I shouldn't have trusted 𝗧𝗧. Which is so hilarious. Like, of course they got a 𝗧𝗧 jab in there. Because it's 𝗧𝗧. But like, I'm still in disbelief that Fox is just here. Like, they're spending a lot of time on this man. People say that he's just a cameo and he's not like a big part of the movie, but he is. They literally need this man Fox's help so that they can get to the space junk galaxy. And at first he's like, should I take you guys? Like, what makes you think I'm going to take you guys? But Toad pulls out coins and he's like, ooh, money? Yeah, I'll help. Now, here's something about Fox. Some people say that this is a bit of a plot hole because A, like, why should Fox be money hungry? And B, why should he be like, thirsty for these coins specifically? And I think it makes sense that Fox would want money for their services because in case some people forget, he's a mercenary. Just like Samus is a bounty hunter and Captain Falcon is a bounty hunter. He's a mercenary and he doesn't do work for free per se. Like, obviously he's always going to be willing to help someone out if the situation calls for it, but he's also someone who wants to get paid. Like, that's like a big part of even Starfox 64's ending, him wanting to get a paycheck for helping defeat Andross. Like, he's always going to do the right thing in the end, but he does want that money, especially since the fact that he's in debt because his father, like, took a big loan for the freaking Great Fox, the bigger ship of his. And because of that, like, he really is always trying to get money out here. So it makes sense that he wants money, but why he wants the Mario Universe coins specifically, I don't know, because how is that going to really help him? I guess maybe you could argue the coins could help him in the sense that he could get someone that could help fix his warp drive. So maybe that's why the Mushroom World coins could be useful to him. Like, he could get the help of someone that can help fix his ship so that he can get back to his universe. So that could be a way to patch that up. But yeah, the fact that Fox is just now a part of the Mario crew is insane. But eventually Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi, they make their way to the Gateway Galaxy and they do manage to find Peach and Toad, and they have a short reunion. This actually leads into this really funny scene where, like, Peach goes to Mario for like a hug. He's like, Mario, but Mario just goes for a handshake instead. And it's like, a handshake? And it's like, oh, I thought it could be cool to do a handshake, And Luigi, Yoshi, and Toad in the background are like doing the dumbest like expressions on their faces. It's so hilarious. This scene is so dumb, but I actually love it. This is like one of the funniest scenes in the movie to me. But yeah. So now they all go with Fox in his R-Ring, and like they give the R-Ring a design just so that they could fit everyone in. Like the sides have like little seats now. Like they basically fit everyone on this one R-Ring, and it is so dumb. It's so dumb. But man, I can't process the fact that Mario and Core are just with Fox now in his R-Ring as they're flying to the Space Junk Galaxy. It's so surreal to see Fox act like he's part of the Mario team. I'll be getting you more into that a bit later, obviously, because people have some thoughts about Fox being in this movie and having such a big role. But for now, I'm just glad to see that this man Fox is alive, bro. Like, the Star Fox series was dead. It was dead. Like, we never thought we would see this man Fox in anything big again, besides, like, Smash Bros. But no, the fact that he has such a big role in the movie, and it's just, like, breathed whole new life in the Star Fox as a series, is crazy. I cannot process it. But eventually, as they're flying, all of a sudden, they get attacked by Bowser and Bowser Jr.'s UFO. And it's not really explained how they found them, so that's a bit of a plot hole, unfortunately. But whatever, it leads into this sequence of the R-Ring now fighting the UFO, and it's crazy. We now have a freaking dog ship fight scene in this movie. But Bowser Jr., he's getting ready to pull out this bullet bill class, and he's like, oh yeah, bro, I'm about to blow them up. And Bowser's like, wait, we don't have to kill them. And this is kind of weird. You would think Bowser would kind of just be on Bowser Jr.'s side now and help him, with his plot of taking over the universe. But Bowser seems kind of reluctant to kill them because he bonded with them in Honey Island, which makes no sense to me. Like, they didn't spend that much time together. He should still be very much petty towards the Mario Bros. About them spoiling his plan. So it doesn't really make sense that he would be on this nicer path. Like, this characterization with Bowser is definitely very weird. But whatever. It then leads to Bowser Jr. deciding, okay, well, you want me to go easy on them? Okay. So he grabs the super scope. And it's like, okay, I guess that's a neat reference. But another thing I want to point out before we get to this next scene is that Bowser Jr. has like a whole wall of tech with like random tech. And again, it just brings up the question of where the heck did he get all this tech? And like one of the things is even blood. Blood is in his tech arsenal. And it's like, bro, do you know 𝗂𝗏 or something? Like, can we get an explanation for this, please? Like, where are you getting all this tech, brother? But whatever, bro. So he goes out there with the stupid super scope, and it leads into him shooting it at the R-Wing and hitting Mario and Luigi, and it turns them into baby Mario and baby Luigi. And we saw them in a trailer, so we knew that there was some kind of context scene of them getting turned back into babies. But yeah, he manages to hit the R-Wing, and it crashes on this planet that seems to be heavily inspired by Fossil Falls from Odyssey. So instead of another Mario Galaxy location, we're at another location inspired by Mario Odyssey. Very strange, but yeah, this leads into what a lot of people say is probably the worst freaking scene in the movie. Because basically now, while Fox and Peach and all of them are trying to fix the stupid R-Wing, Toad and Yoshi have to babysit Mario and Luigi because now they're babies. And they're running off and they're messing with the crazy dinosaurs all around this planet. And it's just like, oh my god, bro, did we need this scene? Did we need to write baby Mario and baby Luigi into this plot? Like, we could have been doing something else, something more inspired by the Galaxy games. But no, we need to take this detour to where Yoshi has to babysit baby Mario and baby Luigi because I guess it's like a nod to Yoshi's games since so many of them are centered around taking care of baby Mario. But bro, we did not need this scene. It just feels like such a drag. This is the point where it feels like the movie kind of comes to a stop. Like, this is probably the most unnecessary scene in this entire movie. It just feels so pointless and so dumb. Like, we did not need this dumb baby scene. And even Toad gets turned into a baby at a point because they do have the super scope because of the fact that it got knocked from the UFO when they were doing the dogfight. But yeah, they have the super scope, so they should theoretically be able to turn them back to normal, but they don't know how to work it, so it takes a bit of time to figure that out. But yeah, like, this whole scene was just a waste of time. Easily the lowest point of the movie. It's just such a waste of time. So after that, dealing with dinosaurs or whatever, they manage to get back to their normal size, and they need to find a way to fix the ship and get back in action. They need a way to get off this stupid dinosaur planet. And how they get off the planet is Luigi is like radioing with the R-Wing's like radio system. He's like just playing around with it, and he manages to get into the frequency of the Comet Observatory. And so all of a sudden they're like sitting there waiting and figuring out a way to get off the planet, and the Comet Observatory just kind of magically finds them, and you're thinking, who the heck is piloting the observatory? And it's the Luma kids. Yeah, the Luma kids managed to find a way to pilot the ship, figure out where they are, and get them off this planet. And this is probably like one of the biggest plot holes of the movie, because like, how did these Luma kids like figure out a way to pilot the ship, get it to them, and like just do all this stuff? Like, you could argue that they're Lumas, so obviously they're magic. They have a bunch of crazy abilities and stuff like that. So you could argue that's the way they were able to find them and pilot the observatory and all that stuff. They're Rosalina's kids, so that could make sense as to how they could do all this stuff. But it's just so random. Like, there's no explanation for how these Lumas managed to find Mario and Co. So it just feels like a huge plot hole. Like, again, this whole section is just filled with like a bunch of low points for the film, but this gets into the film's biggest plot twist. Oh boy. So we're now going to the film's biggest plot twist. So when Peach gets on the observatory, she manages to find a book. You know, she finds Rosalina's book on the observatory, the book that she was reading to the Lumas. And this book gives her some context to what her past with Rosalina is. And we finally get the backstory to Peach and Rosalina and what is the deal with them in this film. And I gotta take a breather for this one. Okay, so here's what the deal with Peach is. So the deal with Peach and Rosalina in this movie is that Peach and Rosalina are sisters. In the movie canon, Peach and Rosalina are sisters, and the way that they are sisters is that they were both born from Stardust. There's no explanation or context to this. There's no context to like how Stardust manifested two baby girls, but it did somehow. And they're sisters. Rosalina is the older sister, Peach is the younger sister, and they were chilling on this planet because they were born from Stardust. They don't have any background. They have no parents. There's no explanation to how Rosalina met the 𝗏𝗲𝗄s, like how she managed to build the observatory, how she got so good with technology and stuff like that. There's no context to any of that. All we know is that Peach and Rosalina came from Stardust, and then Peach and Rosalina were sisters and they used to explore the galaxy together. But all of a sudden, some unidentified force, there's no context to this force at all we see is this purple mist come out of nowhere and chase them. So some unidentified force wanted to capture Peach and Rosalina, and because of this, Rosalina had to run away with Peach, but she figured that as long as they're together and stuff like that, that they would be in danger. So what she decided to do is she decided to just throw Peach into a random pipe. She has no idea where this pipe could lead to. So she just throws her in there, and that's how she ended up in the Mushroom Kingdom, while Rosalina, I guess, went on to meet the 𝗏𝗲𝗄s, build the observatory and stuff like that, but they don't show it. This is all we get from their backstory. And I'm sorry, but all of this it makes no sense. First of all, the fact that they're just born from Stardust and we're just supposed to accept that, like, huh? Like, you don't want to give any context to that? Like, how Stardust apparently can birth people all of a sudden? You don't want to give any sort of explanation for that? Why? And then, the fact that Rosalina and Peach are just sisters, like, huh? Like, so I guess the theories of them being connected are true, I guess? And it's like, okay, I get it. They were originally gonna have some sort of connection in the beta stuff of Mario Galaxy, but like, that's not what ended up happening in the Galaxy game. Instead, Rosalina had a backstory to where she had her own family. She had her own life before she met the 𝗏𝗏𝗄s, and that's what led to her being the protector of the 𝗏𝗏𝗄s and building the Comet Observatory. But no, they basically cut all that stuff out in favor of this sister subplot, and I'm sorry, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't feel this connection between Peach and Rosalina as sisters because it's just explained in such a brief montage that you just don't feel this connection. Like, obviously it has some emotional stakes now because now we know where Peach comes from in the movie universe, and it gives her more motivation to want to save Rosalina because that's her sister. But like, it just clashes so hard with what happens in the game lore, and it just feels so nonsensical that you just don't feel some of the emotion that this backstory is supposed to have. Like, I'm sorry, I know this might piss a lot of people off, but I just think the way that they handled Peach and Rosalina's backstory and their connection is not good. And that's gonna make a lot of people upset, I think, but I don't know. And as for like the unidentified attacker and stuff like that, maybe they'll elaborate on that in a future movie and stuff like that, but I feel like if you're gonna have that be like such a key part of the backstory of these two characters, you gotta at least be a little clear with what was so bad that it forced Rosalina to throw her sister in a random pipe and have her end up in a world where she doesn't even know if she's gonna turn out fine. Like, she could have ended up in Bowser's world for all she knew. Like, come on, man. Like, I just think they handled this in an extremely poor way. I'm sorry, man. But alright, the stakes are set for the third act, so let's get into breaking that down. So, Fox, Toad, and the 𝗏𝗏𝗄s, they decide that they're going to be the ones to keep an eye on the observatory and pilot it through Bowser's armada of airships, while Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, and Peach go down to Bowser's planet world and try to stop him so that they can save Rosalina. That's basically the setup for the big third act. And man, again, this is why I just say that Fox is not a cameo in this movie, bro. He is the one piloting the observatory at this point. Like, they decide to let him pilot it since, again, they need to fight off the airships that are probably going to be in their way. So like, he's just driving the observatory. He's literally doing barrel rolls in it. Toad tells him to do a barrel roll, and he does a barrel roll in the dang observatory. It is the dumbest thing ever, but it's kind of funny too. Like, it is crazy, but yeah. So Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, and Peach, they're exploring the weird Bowser planet now and trying to figure out like where they're gonna go. So Mario decides, all right, let's split up. Luigi, you go with Yoshi, and I'm gonna go with Peach. And like, I'm gonna set you up to go with the dinosaur, and I'm gonna go with the girl. I like, totally nothing like shady there. I'm sorry. Okay, so then Mario and Peach find themselves in this weird hallway, and all of a sudden Bowser gets on the speakerphone and he's like, ha ha ha, you're gonna die. And he pulls out like a controller and he basically turns the hallway into a freaking Mario Maker level, to where like he's putting stuff down as they're running and like basically making them go through this whole Mario Maker like obstacle course. Like, Bowser Jr. truly embraced his inner little Timmy. This is a joke I told with James during our watch with the movie. It was actually kind of a amusing scene. But I also really like this scene in a way too, because it's a scene where we see Mario and Peach working together. Like, we don't really get moments where Mario and Peach get to like work together and show how cool they both are as individual characters. So I actually kind of like that we got to see Mario and Peach work together for once. I think that was really cool. But eventually they do get to the end of this weird Bowser planet, and when they get to where the big center of the planet is, Bowser is waiting for them on a bridge. And this is basically setting things up to be like the original Super Mario Brothers game where you fight Bowser on a bridge, except this time Bowser is holding the axe. He's actually holding two axes. He's straight up dual wielding out here. So he's like, yeah buddy, let's do this. And at first Mario tries to talk him down and he's like, okay Bowser, do we have to do this? Like, do we have to fight to the death? But Bowser's like, nah, I've made my choice. I'm a bad guy, so we're gonna fight to the death. And Mario's like, dang, well, okay then. So Mario and Peach, they fight Bowser for a bit. Then they manage to get over him, and as expected in classic Mario fashion, Mario gets a hold of one of the axes, he chops to the bridge, and Bowser falls into the lava. And this shocked me because I figured we would maybe get a moment like this of Bowser falling into a lava, because it's such a thing that often happens in Mario games. But I did not think they were actually going to show Bowser like boiling in the lava, like slowly, and then Bowser Jr. comes out and he's all sad because he just saw his dad get freaking boiled in lava. And Mario and Peach actually feel bad too. Like, you can see it on the looks of their face, like, oh shoot, we just murdered Bowser. It's kind of crazy. Like, they actually take a moment to like make that scene seem kind of sad, because like when you usually knock Bowser in lava in the games, they don't take no pause. We don't do that weak emotions over here. We just like let Bowser sink in the lava, and then we are like, yeah, we did it. And then they all go home. So it's kind of crazy they actually did a moment where like Bowser Jr. was sad, but all of a sudden something is rising out from the lava, and it is dry Bowser. Bowser comes out in his skeletal form, and I am shocked that we actually saw dry Bowser. I did not think they were going to have the balls to actually put dry Bowser in a movie. Like, they were going to actually show him get his flesh melted and him become a freaking bone monster. I did not think they were going to do that, but they did it. He came out of there and he looks so raw, bro. Jack Black makes Bowser say some weird corny line about how I'm the Skull King or something like that. Like, that was a bit corny. It kind of took away from some of the aura, but still, like, just the fact that we saw dry Bowser is crazy. And that gives Bowser Jr. motivation to be like, yeah, Dad, let's do it. Let's team up and let's kill these guys. And he transforms into Fury Bowser Jr. Basically, it's Wonder Jr., but he has the Fury Bowser color scheme. So, like, it's like a new form for him that makes him super stronger. So, like, now Bowser and Bowser Jr., they're, like, fully powered up and they're charging for Mario and Peach. And Mario's like, dang. So what he does is, while him and Peach are running, he lets Peach go first, but then he blocks off the door. And he's like, okay, Peach, you go rescue Rosalina, and I'm going to deal with Bowser and his crazy son. And Peach is like, no, Mario, you can't do that. But he's like, nah, I got this. And he does not got it. He ends up getting just straight up jumped from that point on. So yeah, pretty crazy final battle sequence set up right there. However, I am going to complain a bit, because I do have a bit of mixed feelings with this final battle sequence. So obviously, it's very cool to see dry Bowser. It's very cool to see Fury Bowser Jr. and him get on the action and stuff like that. And the bridge sequence was kind of cool. But I kind of have a problem with it because what does this have to do with Mario Galaxy? Like, this is nothing like the finale from the Mario Galaxy games, because the finale of, especially the first Galaxy game, is one of the best Mario finales because it has Mario and Bowser in a one-on-one fight, jumping between planets trying to kill each other. Like, that's just such an iconic part of the original Mario Galaxy game. But instead, we basically have more so final battle elements from the 2D Mario games, like New Super Mario Bros. And freaking the original Mario game. Like, why? Like, why are we doing that instead of something more Galaxy inspired, you know? Like, that just kind of is another thing that makes you wonder, like, what are we doing? Like, what's this got to do with Mario Galaxy? Is that something that seems very nitpicky and petty? Maybe, but whatever. So, as Mario is now getting the mess jumped out of him by Dry Bowser and freaking Fury Bowser Jr., Luigi and Yoshi come in clutch with power-ups. And they decide, alright, we're gonna each draw from these random question blocks and get a power. Mario gets the Drill Mushroom, which is not like the generic drill from the Galaxy games, it's the Drill Mushroom from Mario Wonder, which I think is fine. I think that can fill in for the drill from the Mario Galaxy games, because the Mario Galaxy drill, let's be honest, who really remembers that? Like, the Drill Mushroom is better, so that's cool. Luigi gets the Cloud Flower, so we get to see the Cloud Power up in action. Yes! Like, yeah, it's only for the final battle, but the fact that we even get to see it in action and he gets to do some cool things with it, like use it to make cloud shields and stuff like that, that's raw. That's cool as heck. And Yoshi gets the Blimp Fruit from Galaxy 2. Like, this is one of like the few Galaxy 2 things that manages to sneak their way in there, and it's basically kind of like a joke power-up at first, but eventually he manages to blow himself around to where he can knock the paintbrush out of Bowser Jr.'s hand. I think that's what happens, or something similar to that. But yeah, they get the paintbrush away from Bowser Jr., so that manages to give them an edge in this final battle. So Luigi gets his hand on the paintbrush and he's like, okay, Mario's like, okay, Luigi, use the paintbrush and make something overpowered so that we can beat Bowser and Bowser Jr. And what Luigi draws is freaking Mr. Game & Watch. Mr. Game & Watch comes out and they basically say, ah, dang it, Luigi, and he's like, what? I'm not good at drawing. So yeah, Mr. Game & Watch is just here as like a random paint creation, and you would think that it's just like a quick joke, right? But no, Mr. Game & Watch actually starts fighting Bowser and even manages to land a critical hit on him that turns the tide of the final battle. So Mr. Game & Watch clutches up? Huh? What are you doing here, Mr. Game & Watch? Why are you putting in work? It's just so it's like such a shameless reference. Like, it's cool to see Mr. Game & Watch here and stuff like that, but like, this is the point where it's like, okay, we might want to turn down the references, because Mr. Game & Watch is literally just here now, and he's literally contributing to the final battle. We gotta chill on the references. That's the point where I was like, okay, we gotta calm down. Was it cool to see Mr. Game & Watch here and putting in work? Yes. But he's literally like in the final battle at this point. So it's like, what are we doing? But yeah, after that, we cut back to Peach and see what she's doing. And she's obviously trying to save Rosalina. She's in this machine that's helping power the big weapon that they're planning to use for this planet. And she is straight up getting Thanos. Like, she is dying from them using her energy. Now, a lot of people hated this because, again, it just makes Rosalina seem weaker than she is. But personally, I didn't mind this because, spoiler alert for my next Nintendo Cinematic Universe video, but this is kind of a similar direction I was going with Rosalina. Like, in the third act, she ends up getting captured by the enemy, and they start using her powers to power the galaxy generator, and she's dying, and I kind of go in a similar direction. So I don't entirely hate this. Like, it makes sense that because of how Rosalina has so much cosmic power that they're basically using her as a battery. But it just feels so dumb here because obviously the whole sister thing isn't the best thing. Like, it's not the best emotional thing to connect Peach and Rosalina. And also it just feels unsatisfying because of how little Rosalina screen time we've gotten. Like, she's mainly just been in a cage for almost the whole dang movie, and now that we're seeing her again, she's literally dying. It's crazy, but Peach and Rosalina managed to connect their hands and share their cosmic power, and they managed to break the thing. So yeah, that manages to give them the edge on this final battle. But how does this big final battle end? Well, Bowser Jr., he gets so ticked off that he's losing that he uses his paintbrush to summon a big creature. And this creature is none other than the Lord of Lightning Dragon from Mario Odyssey? Huh? Like, it was already a stretch that they could summon Mr. freaking Game & Watch from the paintbrush, but now the paintbrush is summoning a boss from Mario Odyssey randomly, a boss that already had like a pre-established like lore possibly, and like just had so much potential for his own stuff to do, but now he's just a random paintbrush creation that Bowser Jr. just randomly summons. So, okay. But then the dragon turns on Bowser Jr. despite every other creation, you know, working for Bowser Jr. and helping him out. This one turns on him and it smacks him up. So Bowser's like, oh no, like my son is gonna be freaking dead. So Mario decides, dang it, fine. He decides to help out, and what gives him the chance to help out is he gets a power-up box and he gets the Red Star. My glorious king, Red Star Mario, made it to the big screen, y'all. We see that classic black and red color scheme, and we actually get to see him fly and get in the dragon and save Bowser Jr. So yeah, I'm very happy to have seen that Red Star Mario made it. Now, is it kind of lame that he's basically just at the like tail end of the final battle instead of like the whole final battle or something like that? Yeah, that's kind of lame. They basically give it as much screen time as it has in the Galaxy games. But screw it, man. I'm just glad it made it at all. So yeah, now that Mario has rescued Bowser Jr., that seemingly puts them on like even terms, I guess. And I guess they stop being evil from that point on. And that's the end of the final battle. Like, they managed to stop the weapon. Rosalina is saved. So that seemingly is the end of the conflict, I guess. And then the Lumas come in, and obviously they have their reuniting with Rosalina, and that's cute and cool and all that stuff. Oh yeah, and Fox is there too. Fox is you almost forget Fox is here, but he's here, I guess. So now that everyone's all together, they're like, all right, well, what do we do now? And the Lumas are like, hey, let's go see Peach's castle. Like, Mama used to tell us all sorts of stories about the Mushroom Kingdom, so let's go see Peach's castle. And Mario and Luigi look at each other because they know that castle is gone. Like, when they get there, it cuts to this like cutaway joke where the castle is just gone. They're like, bruh, where's the castle? And everyone obviously looks at Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi, since they were the ones in charge of watching the castle in the Mushroom Kingdom. And Luigi's just like, yeah, the castle, it died. That's what he says. He could have easily just said, yeah, Bowser Jr. blew that joint up, but no, he just says like it died. The fact that that's all he had to say was really funny. And then the Luma's like, bro, what are you talking about? It's such a dumb scene, but it's like one of those funny kinds of dumb scenes that like just feels like classic Mario. I actually think that scene is really funny. But yeah. So instead of just ending the movie there and just kind of being like, well, Peach is kind of homeless now. No, Rosalina decides, all right, well, let's just build her a new one. And I'm at least glad that they actually showed like them reconstructing the castle and it being back to normal, because it's a far cry from the ending of the first movie where like Brooklyn is kind of destroyed and they just don't address that. Like how, like they don't address like how they're going to patch up Brooklyn at all at the ending of that first movie. So I'm glad that we do indeed get to see Peach's castle get rebuilt and stuff like that. And we get this scene of Peach kissing Mario on the cheek, which is a classic thing from the Mario games that she does all the time. But seeing it in the movie, I bet all the Mario and Peach shippers went crazy for that. But what happens at the tail end of this movie is Mario gets a cape feather, and we get Cape Mario. He uses it so that he could place a new flag on top of Peach's castle, which is like, bro, why do we get Cape Mario at the last second of the movie? We could have gotten like him in an actual full-fledged scene, but no, they just throw him in at the last possible second. What are we doing, bro? I'm so mad that they just threw it in at the end instead of giving us like a whole dedicated scene to the cape, but whatever. I guess it's cool to have seen it at the big screen in some form, but yeah, that's the end of the main plot. But hold up. Mid-credit scene and post-credit scene. What is the deal with that? What is the mid-credit scene and the post-credit scene? So with the mid-credit scene, it shows what ended up happening with Bowser and Bowser Jr. And even though they seemed like that they were kind of being good at the end, they still did a lot of crazy stuff. So yeah, they're in jail now. They threw them in jail. And who is their guard that's watching them in jail? Lumily. 𝗬𝗲𝘢 makes an appearance at the last second. Like, you would have thought that 𝗬𝗲𝘢 would maybe have a bigger role in a Galaxy movie since like they spent so much time on 𝗬𝗲𝘢 in the first movie, but no. 𝗬𝗲𝘢 comes in at the last second to just be their guard and make fun of them and just terrorize them, and that's it. That's the major part of the scene. And at first, I was like, this scene is kind of lame, but then we do get a cut back to Fox. You know, he's the one who dropped them off the prison, and we do know that Rosalina ended up helping fix his warp drive, and he went back to the Lilac system. So my guess is that this is set up for some kind of spin-off with Fox. Like, this is probably going to lead to a Starfox movie or a side project show or something. Like, so we know that Fox went back to his universe. So, okay. So we did get some useful, interesting information. It's not like the first movie's mid-credit scene where literally it was just Bowser singing again and that's it. We got nothing substantial. So we did get something substantial from the mid-credit scene this time. But now it's time for the post-credit scene. So I was wondering, like, what is the post-credit scene? I had a few guesses and predictions for what the post-credit scene could have been, but I did not expect to see this character at this point. So we see this monkey, right? This monkey robs someone in the Gateway Galaxy. It's the same monkey that robbed a toad earlier in the movie and took the coins to 𝗲𝗏𝗧𝗏 casino. So you probably figure, oh, 𝗲𝗏's back on his BS again, most likely. So the monkey takes the coins from this poor citizen, but then the monkey gets punched in the face. In the minute you see this person's hand, you know who it is. Daisy! Daisy made it! Princess Daisy made it! I lost it when I saw that she made it into these movies. I didn't think it was gonna happen. Like, at a certain point, I was just thinking, like, there's no way Daisy is gonna make it into the movie. Like, if there's gonna be a post-credit scene, maybe it'll center around Donkey Kong so that it could set up his solo project, or maybe it'll tease Wario and Waluigi, because you could argue maybe they're a little more popular than Daisy, but no! Daisy made it. So yes, our Queen Daisy was the post-credit tease, which is just crazy. Now, what is that gonna mean in terms of the next Mario movie? We'll talk about that later. But yeah, with that, I have finished my thoughts on summarizing the overall story of this movie. Now, how do I feel on the story of this movie? Basically, I think the story is fine conceptually. Like, there's nothing here that I think necessarily was a bad idea on paper, but I think the execution was extremely messy due to the broken, split up nature of the movie. Like, the way that Mario and Luigi and Yoshi are on the Mushroom Kingdom for the bit, while Peach and Toad are the ones who head into space first and get into the space shenanigans first, that just made the structure of this movie feel completely messy, because while Peach and Toad are getting into their shenanigans in space and doing the galaxy stuff first, Mario and Luigi, it takes a bit of time for them to get there too, and they're on their own side quest stuff, and then they're like hanging with Bowser for a bit, and then they're not. Like, just the way that they wrote this movie makes it feel a bit more messy than it could have been, and I really don't think it needed to be this way, because if they had simply streamlined the structure, like have Mario, Luigi, Peach, and them progress through the storyline as a group instead of splitting them up in this weird way, it could have made the structure a lot more straightforward. And just also, it's very annoying how this movie just does not take the time to explain so much stuff. Whether it be Bowser Jr.'s origins, why he has all this tech and stuff like that, the Lumas flying the observatory, like, again, like, the fact that they just randomly could fly it is just so random to me. How 𝗲𝗏 got his information about Rosalina, the way space just works in general in this universe. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they just do not explain with a proper structure in story dialogue, and that's what makes the movie just feel so messy and just doesn't make the movie come out as great as it could have been. And I feel like there are so many different things they could have done to streamline the experience of this movie. Like, for example, in terms of them hopping between the different planets and working their way towards stopping Bowser, one thing that could have helped them as a way to motivation to get between these different planets is something from the original Mario Galaxy game, which is the Grand Stars. It is absolutely insane that the Grand Stars play no role in this story when they're such a big part of the story of the Mario Galaxy games. Now, maybe they didn't want things to feel repetitive with collecting and using stars again, since that's kind of the big thing with the first movie, but like, it still could have been just one way they could have gotten around making them progress through these different worlds and want to stop Bowser, because that's just the thing it is. Like, stars are just such a big part of Mario as a whole. It just feels so weird to sideline the Grand Stars, especially since they could have basically used a Grand Star in place of Rosalina. Like, Rosalina is the big MacGuffin of this movie when they could have just used a Grand Star. Like, it's just so annoying. And there's all sorts of other things from the Mario Galaxy games that they could have used to answer certain plot holes in this movie. For example, the whole thing with the Lumas flying the observatory. Instead of the Lumas just randomly knowing how to fly the observatory all of a sudden, they could have basically just had an older Luma character that was established that could have been the one that managed to hear Luigi's frequency and drive the observatory towards him. Like 𝗵𝗨𝗆, the black Luma, who's said to be like one of the older Lumas in the Mario Galaxy games. Or 𝗏𝗏 from Mario Galaxy 2. People definitely would have recognized her, so why not just put them into the story, you know? That's the thing that makes the structure of this movie just feel so weird. Weirdly, the story feels like it kind of rips on Star Wars a lot too. Like, you have the whole reluctant pilot thing with Fox taking the role of Han Solo. You have Mario as the basic hero. We got the Doomsday weapon. Like, it almost feels like they structured this story off Star Wars, but not really, because it's a lot messier. And just because of that, I just was not a fan of it. And then there's just other things that I just wasn't really a fan of when it comes to the creative choices in this movie. Obviously, I didn't like how the final battle felt like it took more from the 2D games than Mario Galaxy. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of Rosalina's new backstory in this movie, and apparently they're considering like making it like canon to the games, and can we not? I'm gonna say this in the nicest way possible. Can we please not do that, please? Like, I prefer Rosalina's game canon lore, but yeah, just I guess the power-up variety is still good, I guess so, and the action overall is still fun to watch. Like, the action isn't bad per se, and overall, I'd say this movie still understands the basic fundamentals of Mario. Like, there's no character that looks off, or doesn't look accurate to their game counterpart, which is definitely the most important thing at the end of the day. Like, this still does feel like a Mario movie. It's just a Mario movie that is held back by how over-ambitious the scope is, due to how many different random Mario game elements it just blends together without connecting the pieces. Like, I know that most mainline Mario games have the same general premise with somebody being kidnapped, but every Mario game has a different vibe. Like, saying that Galaxy is no different than a game like the new Super Mario Bros. Games or any of the other 2D ones is just disrespectful to how unique of a game Mario Galaxy is. And while I don't entirely hate the crossover elements of this film, they just weren't handled in a natural way sometimes, especially with stuff like the Mr. Game & Watch part. Like, that just felt a little forced in my opinion, and I can understand why this time the references felt a little overbearing to some people. I also feel like this movie just wastes the potential to capture Galaxy's more grand and somber energy. Like, it feels like this is a comedic low-stakes Mario film, despite the fact that, you know, the stakes are the literal galaxy being destroyed. Like, this movie feels all over the place, whether it wants to feel like a comedic low-stakes Mario film, or whether it wants to feel like a big, grand-scale Mario film. And I think that's what made the structure of this movie just feel so messy. Like I said in my previous video, they really should have just split this into two different films, which was the second movie, a low-stakes, more comedic Mario film that focuses around the Yoshi shenanigans and expands the Mushroom Kingdom planet, and then the third movie would be that proper Mario Galaxy movie with the bigger stakes and the more somber tone. I really feel like that's what they should have done for this story, but apparently the Illumination president, the Chris Meledandri guy, or whatever his name is, he pushed for a Galaxy movie because he wanted those bigger stakes, and I don't know, I just think that was a mistake. Like, I know it seems petty to be mad that my personal vision for the Mario movie sequels didn't really pan out the way I want it, but I just truly do think it would have benefited these sequels, because I think that this leaves the third Mario movie in a bit of a rough position, because where the heck do you go from here? Like, this movie just had so much stuff in it that I almost wonder if there's really anything left to adapt for that third Mario movie. Now, as we know from the post-credit scene, there is stuff that third movie can touch on for sure, but like, they just put way too much stuff in this movie. It was an enjoyable experience, but I can understand why some people see this movie as a bit of a mess. In terms of visuals and presentation, I'm not going to spend too much time on this section because it was pretty much as great as the first movie. This movie looks gorgeous, if not even better than the first films. Like, yeah, some of the designs do have some illumination properties to them, and they do look a bit off sometimes, but I think most characters and places still capture the vibes from the Mario games, so it's not that bad at all. If I had to point out what was probably my biggest criticism in terms of like how the characters look, it would definitely be Bowser Jr. because yeah, his eyes are definitely weird. Like in some scenes, he looks like really off. They really should have just stuck to him just having the black eyes and stuck with that. Like him having normal eyes was a choice. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's definitely noticeable in some scenes. But yeah, when that's the only complaint I can really have in terms of visuals and presentation, I think it can be safe to say that they killed it with that again. Next, let's talk about the worlds individually. So obviously we have the Comet Observatory, which I think it was fine. Like it obviously looks great even with the redesign, but we don't spend much time getting to focus on the observatory. Like the observatory doesn't get a scene to where we can see all the places from it from the Mario games and stuff like that. Now, the observatory was mostly meant to be like a home place, a hub place, so it doesn't need this crazy focus, but it's an area with a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people, so they definitely could have had one scene where they really highlight the observatory and like what makes it so special, but mainly just serves as a ship, which is fine because that is what it is at the end of the day. But yeah, space. So space is the general location, obviously, of this movie, and space is also a bit of a mixed bag because like they really could have done a bit more with like the gravity and planet stuff. Also, again, they give no type of explanation for how they can breathe in space, but there's all sorts of like media where they don't give explanations for how characters can like breathe in space, so it's not the worst thing, but it's definitely something they could have handled a lot better in this movie. Tostarena Town, I already gave my thoughts on that. I was just glad to see that they're remembering Odyssey places, but it does feel a bit off alongside like the Fossil Falls place. Like they really could have used these places as a chance to get more actual galaxy locations in here. Like they really didn't need to be in this movie. They're fine here, but they weren't necessarily needed. And then again, Peach's birthday party instead of like the Star Festival, like that is just such a dumb change. The Honey Hive Galaxy was kind of just a nothing burger location. Like it was just kind of there. Like I guess it serves its purpose, I guess. I don't have too many big criticisms with that scene in and of itself, but I don't know. Like the Honey Hive Galaxy was just there. And then Gateway Galaxy, which a lot of people, they don't really like the fact that Gateway Galaxy got turned into this more hub central place. I think it definitely fit with what this movie was going for sure. But yeah, I do kind of miss the more unique vibe that Gateway Galaxy had in the Mario Galaxy games. Ward's Casino was definitely very cool. Again, I'm just surprised that they were even able to get like this casino-like location in a kid's film. That's really funny. And then Space Junk Galaxy, honestly, that was only here in name only. Like, it feels nothing like the game version of Space Junk Galaxy. It was just a place where Bowser and Bowser Jr.'s weird super planet was. And yeah, the super planet was cool with the Mario Maker stuff, especially. I think that was definitely cool, but otherwise, I don't know. The worlds in this movie were a mixed bag. Some locations, I think, do a decent job of capturing the galaxy aesthetic, but other places just feel like random Mario places that they just kind of plucked and plopped into the story. And I know that not every galaxy location is the most in-depth place ever, but some of these locations mean a lot to Galaxy fans, and it just feels like such a shame that they're not going to get a chance to get much focus in a Mario Galaxy movie. In terms of characters, so we have a lot to break down here, but I'm going to speed through it. So, characters. Mario, he's basically just the basic hero you would expect. You know, he doesn't have that interesting of a character arc in this story, which I don't necessarily mind. Like, Mario's that type of character where I don't mind him being the standard hero and just being, you know, the usual hero that he usually is. I think it makes sense that he's a more static character and he doesn't have to have a character arc necessarily, but because of the lack of character arcs in these Mario movies, you really do wish that some other characters at least had something that resembled a character arc. But this movie didn't really have that for anyone necessarily, which is especially a shame in regards to Rosalina, which I'm just going to go ahead and talk about her. Yeah, they definitely did Rosalina dirty in this movie. Like, she gets a nice intro that shows off her motherly side and stuff like that, but because she's mostly in a cage for the movie and then turned into a literal battery, she does not get much time to just show off what really makes her special as a character. Like, the reason why a lot of people are upset that they cut her original backstory is because her original backstory is one of loss. It's not just being, oh, I got separated from my sister, she might be out there and I might reunite with her, and then she just magically does. Like, no, her story is one of loss. She lost someone and she can't get them back. That's the whole point of her backstory. It's one where you have to accept loss, and she managed to find a new family through the 𝗏𝗏mas. That's what makes Rosalina's original character so compelling, but because of the fact that they changed her backstory to this weird sister thing with Peach, it just makes her character not as good as her game counterpart, so she's not as great of a character as she is in the games. Now, she's not mischaracterized, I would say. She acts like her game counterpart for sure. I mean, like some scenes where she shows that she's kind of a little jokey and stuff like that, but I don't know, man. Like, they could have done better with Rosalina. Peach, I guess Peach wasn't that bad. Like, I kind of like a lot of scenes with Peach in this movie. Like, I like how she gets a chance to be a little more impatient and frustrated in some scenes. Like, she has the whole thing where she says, princesses don't get frustrated and stuff like that. And I do kind of like that for sure. But that's also something they also could have used to expand her character, but they just don't. Like, again, that sister-sided plot was just very undercooked in my opinion. It's gonna piss off the Peach and Rosalina fans for sure, and I'm probably gonna get targets on my head about that, but that's just how I feel. Luigi, he's a character that did get an improvement because he actually got screen time this time. Like, he doesn't get kidnapped and he actually gets to do stuff, so that's cool. And he has a lot of scenes where he's really funny too. Obviously that scene where like he's trying to encourage Mario to date Peach, but then Mario fumbles and he's just like, bruh. Like, I actually like Luigi in this movie. I think they did a good job with him. Charlie Day did a good job voicing Luigi again. Oh yeah, I should also credit Anya Taylor-Joy. I think she did a good job, and Brie Larson too. I know I've had a rough history with Brie Larson, with me roasting Captain Marvel a lot, but bro, I don't hate Brie Larson as a individual person, okay? Please don't get on my head for that. I just don't think Captain Marvel is the best movie out there. So yeah. And then Chris Pratt. Man, I'd be forgetting Chris Pratt voices Mario, but yeah, he just did whatever. Alright, so Yoshi. So Yoshi, voiced by freaking Childish Gambino Donald Glover. Bro, I completely forgot that Childish Gambino voices Yoshi. Like, you really do forget, because he never speaks normally. He just says Yoshi. And honestly, that's probably the best way that they could have handled this. It's good that Yoshi does not talk, like, because he basically just acts like the Yoshi in the games, you know? He's a competent person that can do stuff. He does have his cute moments, he does have his silly moments, but overall, he's just another companion to the Mario crew, and I think they handled Yoshi in a good way. Obviously, he could have had some development to how he builds such a close bond with Mario and Luigi, which is again why I said he could have had his own movie, but I think he worked in this movie, and overall, he was alright. Toad and the Toads, which, man, I feel like other than that scene where Toad gets a chance to be a badass in the casino, they still don't really do the most with the Toads. And what especially annoys me is, so that one blue advisor Toad, he returns and he's like worrying over Peach and telling her like, no, princess, you can't go out there. And it's like, bro, this guy is Toadsworth. Just make him Toadsworth, for the love of God. What is so bad about Toadsworth that you can't put him in these movies, Nintendo? Like, I swear, this is gonna piss me off the longer and longer it goes on. Like, the more that they just have this random blue Toad who is clearly meant to be Toadsworth, but he's not, the more it's gonna annoy me a lot. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep complaining about this until Toadsworth makes it into these movies, bro. I've decided that. Is that petty? Maybe, but whatever. Bowser Jr. can't make Howler things on the villain side of things. Bowser Jr. was a straight menace in this movie. Like, this is probably the most menacing rendition of Bowser Jr. ever, because he is a pure menace in this movie. Like, from almost blowing up the 𝗏𝗏mas to all this crazy tech he uses on people, to like just being absolutely ruthless. Like Bowser Jr. is a pure menace in this movie, and honestly, I kind of like it. However, I don't know how to feel about Bowser Jr. basically being more menacing than Bowser. Like, again, this is a Galaxy movie, and Galaxy was Bowser at his most menacing. It feels weird that in a Galaxy movie, he's basically getting overshadowed by his son in terms of being a menace. Now, Bowser Jr. is the big new character, so it makes sense that he gets a lot of spotlight and menacing moments, but like, it feels like they kind of nerfed Bowser in the process, and he feels a lot more unserious sometimes in this movie, and I don't know how to feel about that, man. Like, Bowser is a goofy character, so inherently he's gonna have his goofy moments, but I don't know. I feel like a Galaxy movie could have been a chance for Bowser to be more serious as a villain and get to do some truly menacing stuff, but he was kind of just a mixed bag in this movie for me. Jack Black still kills it as him, but I don't know. I was mixed on his portrayal per se. Bowser Jr.'s voice, obviously people don't like it because he sounds a lot older. I didn't necessarily mind, and I think it works for this more menacing take that they were going with Bowser Jr. Like, if Bowser Jr. had his squeaky voice with this more menacing take, like, I think it would just make it even more bizarre that they're trying to make him more menacing than Bowser. But for what they did with this movie, I think Bowser Jr. was portrayed nicely. Kamek was kind of just there, you know. He has a lot of scenes in this movie where obviously he says that he took care of Bowser Jr. and he still cares a lot for Bowser, but he's kind of just there to just glaze Bowser and Bowser Jr., and that's pretty much it, which makes sense. It's Kamek, so that's what he's going to do. Freaking Fox. Oh man, I stay forgetting Fox is in this movie. I think Fox was mostly in character. Like, again, a lot of people say that there's a lot of scenes where he doesn't seem in character. He's definitely exaggerated, I will say that much. He's definitely exaggerated from his game counterpart, but I think for the most part, he was in character. Like, he is a mercenary, so he is going to be someone that does things for money, so it wouldn't make sense that maybe he'd help Mario and co. I even like how there's a scene when he meets Mario where he's like giving him the stink eye, but then they just instantly become friends. Like, I think that's actually kind of in character for Fox. Like, he's not a very petty character. Now, if this were someone like Samus, I would definitely understand the complaints, because Samus is someone who I do think would be more stoic and more awkward around other people. Like, I do think she wouldn't get along with people as easily as Fox, but Fox, he's a pretty corny guy. Like, let's be honest. This is a guy who like is spitting one-liners all the time in his games. It makes sense that he'll be a little cheesy, especially in a Mario movie. But yeah, other than that, I just don't have much else to say with the other characters. Like, we have Wart and those SMB2 bosses, but they only had the casino scene, and after they got whooped on, that was pretty much it for them. So yeah, I wish they got a little more to do, but this movie just had so much stuff to juggle that it just had no time for Wart. And that just contributes to the problem with how I think this movie tried to do a bit much. Honey Queen was just there. She served her purpose, whatever. I think it's weird how long they sat on like her being in the movie, like as if she's some big surprise when she just contributed like such nothingness to the plot. And then Lumily. Lumily is a character that I just think is wasted potential, because they spent so much time on Lumily in the first movie, only for Lumily to basically be absent for most of this movie. Weird. Again, there's just all sorts of weird choices with this movie. Any power-up forms that I need to cover? Oh yeah, I didn't cover Frog Luigi. Frog Luigi was here. I almost forgot to mention the frog suit. I think it's cool it was here, but yeah, power-up variety was good, but you already heard me say that, so yeah, that's enough for the character section. Music. Music is an area where I think it was fine. Like, there are still some weird mainstream songs sprinkled here and there, but it's definitely way less than the first movie. Like, for the most part, the mainstream song picks are a lot less noticeable in this movie. Like, the Biggie scene is definitely the most standout one. Like, that's definitely the one that's like jarring when it happens. But other than that, you almost don't even think this movie doesn't have any mainstream songs, because most of the score is the regular score, and it is stuff that takes inspiration from Mario games. However, one problem I have with this score is I do think the variety is not as great as the first movie. Like, the first movie managed to work in so many themes from across so many different Mario games. However, with this one, not gonna lie, it feels like they didn't incorporate enough themes from the actual Mario Galaxy games. Now they definitely got some in there, like the opening scene music when like the kingdom is getting invaded during the Star Festival. They managed to get that in there. They did get some of the final level theme, I think, in there as well. But there's a lot of galaxy themes that they definitely could have worked in throughout this score, but they just kind of did it. They went with more generic Mario themes, some themes from like even 2D Mario games. And again, that fits into this movie's problem to where it's like all over the place with Mario elements it took from. But yeah, other than that, while it's not a horrible score, it definitely could have been better. Oh, I should also say that the Starfox themes though, they cooked with those. Like Brian Tyler, you popped off with every Starfox theme in this soundtrack. Let me just say that. So yeah, overall, I think he still did a good job. Still more game music than these Sonic movies. So yeah. And then the tone and comedy, which in terms of my thoughts on that, I'd say it was close to being about on par with the first movie, to where I like it because it's not too like ridiculous and kiddish feeling, but honestly, this movie definitely felt a little goofier than the first film. Like there's definitely a lot more bizarre moments in this movie, and because of that, it makes the dramatic scenes of this movie like not hit as hard, and it also just doesn't give much time for those dramatic scenes to have much time to breathe. Like because so much random crap is happening throughout the movie, the tone kind of feels all over the place, and because of that, the tone definitely takes a big step down, and the comedy is definitely very hit or miss. Like some scenes are funny as heck to me, as I pointed out throughout my summary of the story, but then there's just some jokes that I don't think exactly land the best. So yeah, this wouldn't be an issue for any other Mario film, because at the end of the day, it's Mario. It's not going to be the most serious thing in the world. But for a Mario Galaxy movie, I definitely do think we could have leaned into that more somber tone, to where like, yeah, we'll still have our goofy moments because this is a Mario movie, but we could have definitely had more moments to where the story could have paused and taken time to get a little more serious. And because of that, the tone was a bit rough for sure. But with that, we come to my summary and final verdict. So what are my final thoughts on the Super Mario Galaxy movie? Overall, I think it improves from the first Illumination Mario movie in some ways, but I also think it suffers from a messier structure, meaning this is the film where it could be argued that references are the glue that hold this movie together, and that's just not a good way to do a film. Even in the first movie, for as reference heavy as it is also, it does have a fairly understandable structure. A simple one, but a very clear-cut one. The Mario Bros get split up, Mario arrives in the Mushroom World and needs the help of the Kongs to beat Bowser and rescue Luigi, and the wedding final showdown happens, and then they end up fighting in Brooklyn, and then boom. I feel like that first movie was very straightforward in its structure. Was it a bit messy sometimes, and was it overly simple overall? Yes, but I think you can understand that first movie pretty well. But here, so much stuff from very different Mario games just blend together so much that it just makes the movie look like a very sluggish mess. Now, I don't think things like some of the character cameos, the power-ups, and the location hopping is the problem in of itself, as those are things I would all expect in a general Mario movie, and especially in a Mario Galaxy movie. Like, I think this movie was always going to have some form of location hopping to explore multiple galaxies and to just give a lot of chances for different characters from the Mario universe a chance to shine. That's not a problem, and people complaining about that stuff specifically are just always going to sound silly to me. But I think what made this movie so disjointed was the way the characters are all split up at different points, and the leaps in logic to how they get to these different big set piece places. It would have worked a lot better if, again, everyone was guided together as a group, maybe by Rosalina. Like Rosalina reaches out as a guide character and helps these characters get between these different places. There's a clear-cut objective to what they're doing at each place, like maybe there's a Grand Star at Wart's Casino or at some other type of galaxy, and then that's what overall sets up the movie. Like, instead of just them being guided along to these places by nothing really clear, like if they had done that, it would have just made the story a lot more clear-cut. Like, and in general, there's just a lot of things from the Mario Galaxy games that they cut that I do think would have just made this story so much better. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan, especially of how they changed Rosalina's backstory, just to give Peach more depth, I guess. And in general, I just feel like this script could have used some heavy retooling, to put it lightly. But it's definitely not as bad as some people are saying. Like I speculated in a previous video, the common comparison for this movie is something like Batman vs Superman, where it has some amazing action and fun character moments, but in an extremely messy story that is so easy to tear apart. Although honestly, I would more so compare this movie to Iron Man 2, because it's not as reference heavy as people are claiming. Like, there aren't trailers for literally every Super Smash Bros. Character in the middle of the movie, like there were Justice League members in Batman vs Superman, and nobody freaking important dies out of nowhere like Superman did in BVS, despite it being that Superman's second dang movie. But still, the movie was unfocused, thanks to the random character appearances like Fox, similar to Black Widow. Like, you could be argued, like, what was she doing in that movie? And stuff like the non-galaxy locations, like, all of that just threw off the entire structure of this movie, and I think it's a reasonable take to have. Overall, I'd say this movie isn't offensively bad or boring like some corners of the internet are claiming, at least to me, so I wouldn't rate it anywhere near like the D or F tier levels, but I do have to say that this is a disappointing step down from the first film, meaning overall it's just a fine and okay film that's simply moderately entertaining, edging my final rating out as a C+. A passing grade, I guess, but man, I can understand why there is a lot of frustration and disappointment around this movie, because a Mario Galaxy movie shouldn't just be okay. The Mario Galaxy video games are some of the best things the Mario brand has to offer, so I have to buckle down and truthfully say that we deserved a better movie here, and I'm sorry if you feel differently. Okay, so I probably just put myself on a bunch of hit lists with that downer of a conclusion. Won't be surprised if Twitter especially gets pissy when I start making these thoughts vocal there. But if you're still here to listen to the last of my thoughts, I genuinely do thank you. But now it's time to talk about the last section for this video, which is talking about the future of the Mario movies. And you would think with the rough critical reception, Nintendo and Illumination would be like, oh no, the future of the movies are doomed, we're not going to make it to a trilogy like Sonic, oh no. Yeah, no. This movie still made close to $1 billion again, and brings the value of this movie franchise up to $2 billion. Just one of these movies alone eclipses the entire Sonic movie trilogy. We're getting more Mario movie stuff. However, I do hope we can eventually improve that critical rating of these movies, because that could affect future projects despite the money. But let's stop talking about all that negative stuff and let's talk about what the future of these movies could be. So first up, Mario Movie 3. What is going to happen in that movie? And we know we're going to get it for sure because, again, $1 billion movie. So yeah, what is Mario Movie 3 going to be about? Well, the biggest hint we have right now is Daisy. We know that Daisy is coming in this next movie. So what could that point to? Obviously, Daisy's debut game is Super Mario Land. So are we going to get a Super Mario Land movie that mainly takes elements from the Super Mario Land games? I think it's definitely possible, especially since, again, Warrior debuted in Super Mario Land 2, so this could be a chance to bring in both him and Waluigi. So I think it's very likely that Daisy, Warrior, and Waluigi will play a big role in this next movie. But there are some characters that we could fit into this next movie as well. The Koopalings, it's kind of weird that we haven't seen the Koopalings yet, so there's definitely potential for them to be in this third movie and to potentially even be like the main villains instead of Bowser and Bowser Jr. Like maybe Bowser and Bowser Jr. are still in prison, but the Koopalings are out being their own kind of threat. So Mario and co have to deal with like these 7 Koopa kids just running rampant and just being menaces, while Warrior and Waluigi are like a side antagonist or kind of like a minor threat. Like there's definitely a lot of different directions they can go with that alone. But there are still some Mario elements they could pull from, despite the fact how many Mario Odyssey elements they randomly crammed into this Mario Galaxy movie. There's still a few left where they could name this movie after Mario Odyssey overall, since again, Mario Odyssey is like a big game a lot of people love. So maybe what they'll do is they'll call this the Super Mario Odyssey movie, but then they're also going to have like elements from Super Mario Land and all sorts of other Mario games just like this movie, because this movie worked. Like, despite everyone being so vocal against it in different ways, like, why would they change up their strategy? So maybe what the third movie will be is it'll be called the Super Mario Odyssey movie, but then it's also gonna like pull from all over the freaking franchise and just be a complete crazy script. So who the heck knows in terms of what they're gonna do for that. They could pull from Mario Wonder elements, but again, because of how they already used up Wonder Jr., and I don't think they would address the craziness of the Wonder Flowers, I don't know if they're gonna do that. Some people think this will be a Mario Sunshine movie, but is that really what they're gonna do? Like, after this big galaxy-spanning adventure, we're gonna do a freaking Sunshine movie of all things? Is that really what's next? Come on now, I don't know about that. But I do think it's also possible that if they do a Mario Sunshine movie, maybe they mix it with Luigi's Mansion and get some Luigi's Mansion elements in there, especially since, again, Daisy is coming. There's gonna be a lot of potential for a Luigi and Daisy dynamic. But on the subject of Daisy, one thing that I want to talk about with her is I just hope they don't mess her up. And one thing I really hope they don't do is that I hope they don't do something dumb like say, oh, Daisy's a sister of Peach and Rosalina too, or she's a cosmic princess now as well. Like, I know, can we not? Can we not just make all the princesses like just be conveniently related? That just seems so dumb to me, but it's not impossible. It's not off the table of being something that just like happens now because of this random Peach and Rosalina sister connection. So who the heck knows, man? Who the heck knows? I guess there's a chance they pull from the Mario RPG still, but again, because of how lackluster the Mario RPG elements have just been with just these first two movies alone, it really makes you wonder if they're ever going to reference them. But again, they're using up so many of the main like Mario elements alone. What the heck is left, man? Like, again, they used up so many Odyssey places, so what are they going to do when they need to do some locations for a potential Odyssey movie? I don't think it would be much of a big ask if, you know, you let Bean Kingdom be one of the kingdoms they visit, or like one of the other locations from the Mario RPG games. I don't know, you could do that, bro. But only time will tell what the heck they'll do for Mario Movie 3. Maybe it'll be based on freaking whatever the next mainland Mario game is, if that ever freaking comes out. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of my speculation for Mario Movie 3. But there is also potential for a bunch of other projects. Again, that Donkey Kong spin-off, that could be coming. Maybe that's the reason why they kind of just cram DK here randomly, because they do still plan to do a spin-off with him fighting King K. Rool with Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong, Cranky Kong. Like, there's definitely a lot of potential for that, and hopefully everything goes well with that. That's all I'll say for now. Peach and Toad apparently have potential to get a spin-off. Like, they might do a spin-off with like Peach, Toad, and maybe even Rosalina now, since she's connected to Peach more closely in the movie universe. Maybe they'll get their own little spin-off where they get to do something, but I don't know. That sounds like something that should be more so like a TV kind of thing, if you ask me. I don't think that has enough to really carry its own movie, if you ask me, but who knows? Maybe it can have that sort of potential. A lot of people do really like the princess characters, and even Toad. Like, they're very marketable characters out of the Mario cast. But now we're going to get it to the part of the future discussion that will annoy some people, which is, what does this mean in terms of other Nintendo movies? Obviously, I already talked about this potentially leading into a Star Fox spin-off movie, because like the way that they put Fox front and center in this movie, he is just begging for a spin-off movie now. Like, it's so obvious they're going to do some project where Fox is going to go on his own adventure and fight in the Lilac system, probably fight Andross again for like the millionth freaking time, even though like we've seen that story so much, but whatever. That's definitely possible. So it's definitely possible Fox gets his own project for sure. And the big one, you already know, I'm gonna say it, Smash Brothers. Now, apparently in an interview, Miyamoto said that like a Smash Bros. Movie isn't happening anytime soon. And I see that as kind of a good thing, because I wouldn't want them to like rush into a Smash Bros. Movie already. Like, imagine if what they do for Mario Movie 3 is they just immediately go into a Smash Bros. Movie and like bring in like a million freaking characters before we explore more of the Mario universe. No, bro. That is not what I want. Like, I'm glad we got reassurance that
we're not rushing into Smash Bros. Like, we really do need to like slow down the pace, slow down the amount of games and elements that we take from, and calm down like before we go into some Smash Bros. Movie. Now, do I want a Smash Bros. Movie to happen eventually? Yes. Like, you've seen my Nintendo Cinematic Universe series. I want that. I do not give a care that some people think a Smash Bros. Movie can't work. I think it can in fact work, but they need to take their time in setting it up. They cannot rush into it, because if they try to rush into it, I just don't think it's gonna work. Now, luckily, this movie isn't as bad as trying to shut up a Smash Bros. Movie as I thought it was gonna be. Like, it's pretty much just Fox, Mr. Game & Watch, and I guess you could argue like Samus and Captain Falcon if you want to count their cameos, plus Little Mac, but like, those are like inconsequential cameos. They don't hurt the story too much. Like, it was mainly just Fox, and once you get a project out for him, and once you get a project out for some other Nintendo characters, like, I think we'll be on a solid path to eventually doing a Smash movie, but I don't think it's happening anytime soon. Like, right now, they're gonna focus on expanding what they've set up so far with these 2 Mario movies, and then I guess we'll see what happens with that Zelda movie next year. Ooh boy, man, am I scared for that movie. Like, not just even the critical reception, like, I'm scared for its general quality, bro. That movie is gonna be a roller coaster to follow. I'm not looking forward to it, but that's pretty much in terms of what could possibly happen for the future of these movies. I think overall, if they want to improve the critical reception, they just really got to take their time and structure things out a bit more. Like, don't make the structure like this messy plot where like characters go in one direction but other characters go in another direction, and don't leave out things from the games that add context that could help out these stories, you know? And then just character arcs. I feel like if they do a bit more work with the characters and just like express what makes them so special more, instead of like cutting it and leaving it on the cutting room floor, then I feel like that would ease up some of the critical reception. Now, I think some of the critical reception is just people just being boomers and just being like, I don't understand this Mario stuff. I don't understand this Zelda stuff. I think that's what some of it is. But I do think in this movie's case, they were a little justified in like not understanding what the heck was going on, because this movie was just all over the place in what it was doing. So hopefully we can get things better on the critical reception, but who knows, man? Who the heck knows anymore? With that, that's going to be it for today's video. If you made it to this point of the video, thank you for watching all the way until the end. So, what did you think about the Super Mario Galaxy movie? Do you think it's overhated? Do you think it's not hated enough? Do you like what they did with Rosalina? Do you hate what they did with Rosalina? Were you hyped to just see that Starfox is just alive at all? Let me know in the comments below. And please be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new to it, and follow my additional social media in the description for more content and updates. This has been 𝗧𝗧, and I'm out. Peace.